What is up, all you Slashaholics? Welcome back to Slash Sisters. I am Slash Sister Hallie, and I see why you've been taking the intros.
Yeah, and that makes me Slash Sister Jen, and we want to welcome you back to the channel for true horror movie reviews by true horror movie fans.
And today, our little slashy friends, we are going to conclude the Cult of Thorn timeline with Halloween, the Curse of Michael Myers. Or as some people call it, Halloween 6, the Curse of Michael Myers.
Either way. But
it is theoretically the sixth one in the franchise.
Yes.
So.
But the sixth is not in the actual...
No, it's not in the title at all.
Yeah. Hell yeah, y'all. I don't know why. Actually, I do know why it's Paul Rudd. But this is one of my favorite movies in the franchise. It gets so much damn hate, though. And I get it.
I mean, it gets so much hate that the cast and crew have literally disavowed this film.
Yeah. It's kind of the weirdest one out of the bunch of movies because we get this, like, cult and mysticism.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we really do. This is where we start to tie in that mysticism and maybe the reasoning for his evil and reasoning for his killings, I guess.
So why don't we just jump right into it and get to the conclusion of this strange, fucked up storyline that is the Cult of Thorn with the Halloween timeline, shall we?
Yeah, let's do it. So we pick up 6 years after the previous film, and Michael Myers and his niece, Jamie Lloyd...
Not played by Danielle Harris.
Nope, because they wouldn't let her because they thought she was too young.
Well, they told her to emancipate yourself, and then we'll give you the role, but then they refused to pay her the sum that she wanted, which...
It was only $5,000. She only asked for $5,000 to come back in that movie.
I think it was worth it to pay her that to get her back for continuity's sake, but whatever.
Anyways, they have been abducted by the Man in Black from the previous movie and his druid-like cult.
Yeah, so at the end of the previous film, Michael has been broken out of the Haddonfield Sheriff's Office or Police Office or whatever, and Jamie sees this. But we also get a flashback sequence that shows...
Because horror movies love doing flashback sequences. We just do.
Well, they actually do use some footage from 5 because we do see a younger Danielle Harris.
Right.
Obviously, it's not her at this time frame in 95, but we see her in the police station walking around or whatever.
Right.
And we see the destruction. But then we get brand new footage that I don't think was shot for 5, but it's the back, like we see Jamie's back and we see Michael being loaded into a transport literally against his will. He's kind of like fighting them.
Yep.
And then we're led to believe that she's been abducted as well because she apparently has been with this society for roughly the past 6 years.
Well, and they have a psychic connection, she and Michael do.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Which the Cult of Thorn intends to exploit.
Yes.
On Halloween Eve... God, how the fuck did they plan that one?
It always happens on Halloween. Come on.
I know, but to
have a
plan
baby.
a pregnancy to
Maybe
give birth.
It is possible. Anyways.
15-year-old, yes, that is right. 15-year-old Jamie gives...
And I want to mention that at the time of filming, Danielle Harris was 17 years old and was supposed to be playing a 15-year-old, and their reasoning for not giving her the role initially was because she was too young to play that role. Even though she was 2 years older than the character.
Yeah, the producers at the time thought that it would be poor form to show someone under the age of 18 giving birth on screen.
Yeah.
Whether the character is 18 or not.
The actress that ended up playing her was barely 18, right?
Yeah, I think so. But anyway, Jamie gives birth to a baby boy, and is then, like, the baby's taken away from her. And they start, like, putting in blood
the thorn
rune and everything. But a nurse comes and, like, basically hands her baby and lets her escape.
Come on, let's go. Yeah.
In the chaos that ensues, Michael somehow is not locked up or whatever.
Because why would he be?
And has a butcher knife, nonetheless. Kills the nurse, chases her down, and kills this guy that has a pickup truck that Jamie steals and drives away.
Yep. Meanwhile, a now retired Dr. Loomis who had skin grafts.
I had surgery, plastic surgery, skin grafts. It cost a fortune, but at least I don't frighten people anymore.
The whole reason for that was to try, because they said specifically that even though, like, 4 doesn't acknowledge the fact that 2 happened.
They do a little, at least.
They acknowledge the fact that Loomis was burnt, and Michael was burnt and everything like that. But, like, at the start of 4, Loomis says, I shot him 6 times.
Yeah.
He doesn't say, I shot him 11 times and set him on fire.
I shot him 5 million times!
But, they used that MacGuffin or whatever to try to connect to this timeline a little bit better.
Okay, I get that. Yeah, so meanwhile, a now retired Dr. Loomis is visited by his friend Dr. Terrence Wynn, the chief administrator at Smith's Grove Sanitarium, where Michael was incarcerated and Dr. Loomis was his doctor.
Interesting side note, the initial actor that was approached to play Dr. Terrence Wynn in this was Christopher Lee.
Really?
In fact, Christopher Lee was actually approached to play Dr. Loomis in the original Halloween, but turned it down.
That would have been interesting.
It would have been really interesting to see Christopher... And, because Christopher Lee lived for a lot longer than Donald Pleasance, we would have had him throughout the entire franchise.
Yeah, we would have. Gosh, that would have been cool.
As Wynn asks Loomis to return to Smith's Grove, they overhear Jamie's plea for help on a local radio station where she calls into a shock jock DJ. Okay.
That DJ's a douchebag.
But bear with me on this, because I'm trying to wrap my head around this, okay? If we're led to believe that Jamie has been abducted and missing for the past 6 years.
Yeah.
And she steals a truck and drives from... wherever they were, which was
15.
about Pontiac.
How did she learn how to drive that truck at 11 years old?
Okay. My ultimate question, though, is... did she just randomly call a fucking number from a payphone? Like, how did she know that she was going to get through to anybody that the message would get out to somebody?
Huh.
Was the radio playing in the background and dropped the phone number? Because if it was, I don't fucking remember.
I don't remember it either. Wow. Yeah, I didn't think about that.
But anyway, she calls into the
local radio station. And begs for help, really, honestly. But she's like, Michael's coming to get me. You know, she says,
Dr. Loomis, are you out there?
Yeah.
She name drops Dr. Loomis.
She sure did. But also listening to the radio at that time is Tommy Doyle, played by the beautiful, absolutely gorgeous Paul Rudd. The only reason that I actually really love this movie.
I swear to God, that man doesn't fucking age.
No, he doesn't. He looks exactly the same as he did in this movie.
He's a fucking hobbit.
Yep.
I think the only movie he actually aged in was Wolverine and Deadpool.
Huh. Paul Rudd finally aged.
Yeah. I haven't seen that yet, but...
You'll get it once you see it.
Okay. But yeah, so... we got Paul Rudd. It's Paul Rudd, baby.
Amy just got that joke that I was just talking about with Paul Rudd and Deadpool and Wolverine.
Well, now I need to watch Deadpool and Wolverine. Thanks, guys.
They initially wanted the original actor that played Tommy Doyle in the 78 to come back, but he
didn't have an agent and they couldn't get a hold of him.
Right. Yeah. So they had no way to get a hold of him. And he laments not having an agent, because he wanted to come back.
And then it would have been awesome to have the same actor come back as him.
And then they wanted to get him again in 2018 when Tommy Doyle makes another reappearance. But he was retired from acting at that point. Paul Rudd was currently filming something. I think at the time he was probably filming Ghostbusters Afterlife.
Right.
And that ended to another recasting of him. But we'll get to that when we cover 2018.
Yep.
Michael catches up with Jamie and kills her, only to find that she has hidden her child elsewhere.
Yeah.
She actually hides the child and then gets back in the truck after calling Dr. Loomis, or calling the radio station, and drives off someplace else.
Yeah.
But makes it look like she still has the baby.
Yeah, of course. Well, I mean, she wanted the baby safe, I guess.
No, I get her reasoning behind it. I'm just explaining the details.
Yeah, for sure. Back in Haddonfield, the old Myers house, which is not the original Myers house either, is now owned by relatives of Laurie Strode's adopted family, John and Deborah Strode.
The only sequel that has a house that even remotely looks like the original Myers house is the 2018 version.
Yeah.
Even though they completely changed the layout of the house.
Yeah, but it still looks right from the outside at least.
But they go to the wrong room for where he killed his sister. Their adult children, Kara and Tim, and Kara's 6-year-old son, Danny, live there as well. There is actually I'm sorry, I watched this last night, so I have a lot of trivia knowledge on the tip of my tongue with this one. There's a really dark fan theory that says that Kara's dad is actually the father of Danny.
Ew.
Because of the way he treats her.
He's a piece of shit.
Right, because of the way he treats her, because of the fact that she took off for 5 years and didn't tell her family anything about where she was going or what she was doing. The way he treats Danny and, basically calls him a bastard all the fucking time. There's also a scene where he pulls out an old photo of Kara and, says in a very sexually seductive way,
"Happy Halloween, little girl."
Ugh.
Right.
Yuck.
Mm-hmm.
Yuck.
I don't buy into it, but I think it's interesting,
it's an interesting
because
theory,
if you look at it through that lens, it changes the whole dynamic of the relationship.
For
but
sure. But the dynamic of the relationship is already there. It's bad.
Right. It kind of fits with the way he treats her and everything like that. I mean, he fucking smacks her.
Yep. Danny is tormented by visions of the Man in Black.
I know we're not talking about Johnny Cash.
No, we're not.
Although I think that they did that as an homage to Johnny.
I definitely think they did. But yeah, the Man in Black keeps telling him to kill for him. Kill for him.
Kill for me, Daddy.
Yeah.
Tommy lives in a boarding house across the street. Tommy is the boy Laurie babysat in 1978, is now a recluse. Recluse?
Yeah, recluse, either way.
We're there hard. Obsessed with finding out the truth behind Michael Myers' motives.
Yeah. He's been obsessed for a long time. He's got news clippings all over his apartment.
I mean,
he's been keeping track of Michael.
It's been 13 years, and he's, massively obsessed.
I mean, he was basically attacked.
No, not 13. 17. God, I can't add.
I mean, he was basically attacked.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
No, I mean, it would traumatize a child, definitely.
Absolutely. Tommy tracks the call down to a bus station, and this whole scene is so weird. First off, that baby's been there by themselves for
hours.
At least 3 or 4 hours. Even if that call was in the middle of the night.
Which, I'm assuming it was.
Yeah. So let's say it was 4 o'clock and 3 o'clock in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
He's at the train station. It's light out. That baby's been there for hours, likely crying. Mm-hmm. Also, he sits down in the phone booth and finds bright red blood and more blood that leads him to the baby. How has nobody noticed that?
How has nobody heard the fucking baby?
That's what I'm saying. There's a baby fucking crying. There's no way that baby's not crying.
It's a bus station in a well-traveled area. The baby is in a cupboard in the woman's restroom.
The bathroom, yeah. That's a mess.
After running into Loomis and telling him about... he also decides to name the baby Steven.
Yeah, I know. Is there a reference there? I'm wondering if I'm, missing something.
If there's a reference to another horror film or, something earlier in the franchise, I don't get it, and I don't... and by all means, if you all out there know, please let us know in the comments below.
Yeah, because it's funny because we were talking about this, I think, with Brian when we recorded podcasts, is that... what were we talking about right before that? Baby.
The baby being named Steven.
And Steven.
Mm-hmm. Pathaven.
Oh, there was something else where I was something else is a perfect nod to it. Why wouldn't we give Steven a nod? You know what I mean?
Mm.
Oh, fuck, I don't know. That's gone. We'll just start back in there.
Anyway, after running into Loomis and telling him about the Strodes, Tommy locates Kara and Danny and takes them to safety at the boarding house.
Yeah, he just basically brings them home.
Okay, look, I love Paul Rudd. I really do. I think he's a brilliant actor. He's got great comedic timing and everything like that. But the scene with him and the baby in the hospital demanding for medical attention.
Looking like a fucking idiot, for one thing.
Looking like a psycho. I don't know if this was because it was his first film, because he did not act anywhere this bad in Clueless.
Yeah, no, he
which
definitely
is his very next
overacted
film.
in this film. But I wonder if they, directed him to do that.
Right, that's my question. Was it bad direct? I mean, it was clearly bad directing.
Yeah, because I don't think Paul Rudd is a bad actor at all.
Right, no, that's what I'm saying,
gold.
right? Because, the cast and crew feel like The Curse of Michael Myers is an apt title for this, because it was the whole production was plagued with bad things.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's just weird.
Yeah, it is. Tommy tells Kara that he thinks Michael is under the influence of Thorn, an ancient druid curse that drives a person to kill their family on Halloween. He tells Kara that Steven will be Michael's final sacrifice, meaning that he's ending his bloodline. And then he leaves Kara and the baby and Danny there all by themselves to go meet up with Dr. Loomis.
There are glaring plot holes.
Yeah, there are. And I'm sure some of it was because, they filmed some things and then cut it, or whatever. That's how plot holes end up coming in there anyways.
Well, I mean, the biggest problem with the plot holes is the theatrical cut of this.
Yeah.
And it's because...
we'll get into that.
It's because when they test screened it, it tested poorly, so they went back and reshot the ending. But at the time with the reshoots, Donald Pleasance had tragically passed away due to complications with the heart surgery or something like that, and they had to make do with what they had.
Yeah.
So in the process of doing that, it left literally holes in the story, where there are quite literally scenes. You can tell there are scenes missing.
Yeah.
The producer's cut of this does give you a little bit more comprehensive story. That's at least...
The ending is completely different.
But it's also palatable.
Oh, it makes more sense.
Right.
It actually, as I was watching it, it's like, oh, gosh, I'm glad they changed this, honestly. Because the original ending is a little weird.
Well, the whole theatrical cut of this is just... meh.
It's all over.
It really is. It really is. But the producer's cut does make a little bit more sense.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Michael returns to his childhood home and kills Deborah in a farmhouse laundry scene that happens to pop up in pretty much every Halloween movie.
Yeah. I mean, I guess one of the first times that Laurie sees Michael, he's standing in her backyard among the sheets. Yeah, and then we get this sheet one here. There's pretty much one in every Halloween movie that I can remember. Or at least, maybe not a death in the sheets, but Michael is standing or walking through the sheets somewhere.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. Yep. When Deborah's husband returns home, drunk as fuck, and being the typical asshole that he is.
This is where he says the Happy Halloween, baby girl.
Ugh, gross. Michael murders his ass too. And probably one of the most satisfying kills, I think. At least in this movie. He takes a tire iron and shoves it through him and pushes it into the electrical box and electrocutes him. It's fucking great.
Yeah, that asshat got what he was doing.
Yeah, he did.
Mrs. Blankenship, the owner of the boarding house, who was babysitting Michael the night he killed his sister,
apparently, yeah,
tells Kara that Danny hears the same voice that Michael did. She also explains to Danny, the whole origin of Halloween, how it dates from Celtic traditions and everything like that.
Yeah, so I'm sure she called it Samhain too.
I don't remember, but I do know that she is working for the Cult of Thorn.
Yes. We find that out later.
Yeah.
The man in black beckons Danny to the Myers house, forcing Kara to leave the baby and go to rescue her son from Michael.
I'm sorry, I have a problem with people leaving babies.
Me too, man. They're defenseless.
Right.
And she's after that baby.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways.
When she gets to the house, she finds the bodies of her brother and his girlfriend before finding Danny and narrowly escaping Michael.
Yeah, so the reason that Tim and his girlfriend went back to the house is because that shock jock came to town, right? And he found out, well, his girlfriend told Tim.
Yeah, his girlfriend fucking spilled the beans.
He had no idea that he lived in the Myers house. None whatsoever. But as soon as that shock jock heard that they were living in the Myers house, he's like, okay, we're going to break. Let's go there. Mm-hmm. You know, which... So yeah, that's the reason why they were there, but Michael was waiting for them, so...
Well, and the shock jock actually got murdered too by Michael.
He did. And the little girl is like standing there and she's like, it's raining red! Yeah, it's raining red.
Why is it warm?
Mommy, it's raining. It's raining red. Mommy, it's raining. It's raining red. Mommy, it's raining red. It's warm.
Weird. Creepy.
Right. But Kara sees, like,
Tim getting murdered.
No,
yeah.
She sees his girlfriend getting murdered, and that's what runs her over
right,
to the house.
Right,
because after that, that's when she sees Danny walking.
Yeah, Danny's walking
house.
up to the house already.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah. Upon returning to the boarding house, though, the man in black is revealed to be Dr. Wynn.
Ba, ba, ba.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's dumb. It's fucking dumb.
Yeah, it is. But then cult members burst in, and with the help of Mrs. Blankenship, who is also part of the cult...
Told you she was... Yeah.
Yep. They abduct Kara, Danny, and Steven, the baby, and take them to Smith's Grove.
In one of the weirdest fucking scenes, because, it's Tommy and Dr. Loomis, and they're standing outside the boarding house. They're like, why do I feel funny? I feel like I was drugged. And Loomis is like, you were.
Where is she? Where's Kara? I feel like I've been drugged.
We have been drugged.
What? Why? Why didn't you kill them? Why didn't you take them as a sacrificial pawn or whatever the fuck it, I don't know. Tommy and Dr. Loomis then head to the sanitarium where Loomis confronts Wynn, who insinuates that the Smith's Grove staff have been studying pure evil to learn how to control it. Huh?
Yeah, I think it's real weird, doesn't it?
Oh, it's just...
Oh yeah, real weird. Steven is then implied to have been a successful result of in vitro fertilization to clone Michael's DNA, meaning Michael fathered the baby with his niece. It's the Hallie Retching show today.
Oh, come on, you did it earlier.
I did. This is gross. Sorry. I mean, they don't... Okay, it's implied that because it was in vitro fertilization, they didn't have physical sex, but still,
That's fucking inbreeding. I don't give a fuck how you try to justify it or quantify it. It's fucking inbreeding.
Yes. It's major ick, and it gives me the icks. I don't know.
I mean, this is how you get mongoloids. Are we led to believe that this is the wrong
Grab
word?
a strong arm! Sorry.
I was actually thinking of Three Finger or Two Finger from Wrong Turn, but yeah.
So, yeah, they basically just imply that Michael is the father, which is
disgusting.
Gross.
Fucking
Absolutely
disgusting. Gross. Wynn wants Loomis to join him. Join me. One of us.
One of us! One of us! One of us! That's hilarious.
As he was the first to see the power inside Michael, Loomis refuses and is knocked out by the good doctor. Or not so good doctor, depending on how you look at it.
Meanwhile, Tommy kind of like follows after one of the members of the cult, and I don't know, I mean, they don't really show him knocking him out or anything like that, but he definitely steals his cloak and dresses up as one of the cult members and is able to get into the like ritual room where Kara is chained to a bed, basically, like a...
It's like a sacrificial slab.
Yeah,
you know, that's how I interpret it.
For sure. And Danny and Steven are being held in some sort of ritualistic way, basically. A little crazy.
Tommy then produces a dagger and holds it to Wynn's neck, who then just tells the cult to let them go, and they all just watch as they leave.
That part fucking bothers me. Like, okay, you've got a knife to your leader, but like, y'all are just gonna let them leave? What? I mean, I don't care if the leader said let them leave. Like, that don't make no sense.
What bothers me is this next part.
Yeah. Michael then chases them through the sanitarium, They basically come to the end of a hallway where the gate is closed. Mm. It's a dead end. And they get trapped as Michael is coming towards them, but Loomis then shows up and shoots the control panel and allows the gate to open. So Kara and the baby and Danny are able to get through, but good old Tommy stays behind.
Right, so Tommy had this brilliant fucking idea to use runes to try to stop Michael and his pursuit of evil and everything like that.
Right, because the thorn rune is negative, but he wants to use a positive thorn, or a positive rune to counterbalance everything. Yeah.
It's also interesting to note that there is some type of like astrological phenomenon that happens every time Michael kills.
Yeah,
like the rune appears in the night sky on Halloween, the nights that this Michael is so stupid and fucked up.
It is. It's real weird.
I think Michael is under the influence of an evil rune.
Thorn?
Well, there are runes of light, protection. If Thor could somehow be trapped by these runes, the energies could cancel themselves out. The evil could be destroyed.
But then Tommy, in his infinite wisdom, uses his runes and his own blood and the incorrect pronunciation of Samhain. Samhain. To stop Michael, who allows him to get away and escape with Kara, Danny, and
it
baby.
literally just like freezes
It
him.
stops him dead in his fucking tracks the second he says Samhain.
Yeah. It's crazy. Like, I want to know where he got this idea from anyways.
I want to know what fucking lore he was reading to even come up with something so fucked up.
Yeah, it don't make no sense. So, Loomis stays behind to take care of some business inside the building. Inside, Michael appears to be laying on the floor, surrounded by the runes. This is where things get very different from the theatrical cut versus the, especially the ending. Mm-hmm. Very different from the theatrical cut versus the producer's cut.
Absolutely. When Loomis removes the mask, he finds Dr. Wynn, and they realize that Michael traded places.
Yep. Wynn tells Loomis that he is now in charge of the cult, and he looks down and finds the symbol of Thorn appears upon his wrist, and he does a classic Dr. Loomis.
But then he, kind of
lets go and accepts it. Yeah, it's very weird. Yep.
The final scene is the Man in Black, Michael, because they actually do pan down and we see,
and they show his shoes.
Like combat boots
and the coverall, the bottom of the coveralls,
right?
You know?
Well, no, because the coveralls were on Wynn.
Oh, that's right. But every time we saw the Man in Black, he was wearing those black cowboy boots with a pointy toe and spurs on it,
right?
Which is what Wynn was wearing with the jumpsuit in the middle of the room.
But the Man in Black here is wearing combat boots or work boots or black work boots or whatever.
Yep.
Walking away, and we pan down to see his feet, and like I said, see that
we know that Michael is walking away,
and he has escaped again.
Damn it! How could he get? How does he keep getting away? Thoughts on this one?
This is probably my least favorite.
Really?
I know you said this is one of your favorites. This is probably one of my least favorite ones in the franchise. It's just. I understand trying to dive further into the Cult of Thorn that they tried to establish in the previous film, and I understand what they were trying to do, trying to allow the franchise to continue on in different directions that they maybe not necessarily intended.
Yeah, because that could have been, if that worked, it could have been Danny becoming the next killer, and a whole new family, and a whole new... everything. They could have restarted Halloween with a brand new person.
It would have made sense to do that for the continuation of the franchise, to allow another masked killer that is wearing the same mask, same coveralls, or whatever, to take on the shape.
Yeah.
But that's not what happened.
No. And then we ended up with Corey.
That's for another time. I'm honestly conflicted. I said last night that I might give this a Bloody Machete down, and I think I still want to, but it's just not that good to me.
You know, I understand that.
The gaping plot holes, the story feels incomplete. It's not as egregious as Phantasm, but it's up there.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. See, I'm on the other side. This was one of the first Halloween movies that I saw aside from the original. I was at, like, just the right age to be, like...
enamored with it?
For Paul Rudd.
Well, I mean, I get that.
And I was also just at an age where, like... I don't know, I just really liked this one. I just did. And I think I saw this one... Like, I didn't see 4 or 5 before. I watched 6 without having seen 4 and 5.
Same.
You know, I was young. But it came out in 95. Mm-hmm. I was 12 years old, you know? I was really starting to discover horror movies. And I really liked this one because it was like, it's new and this is, you know... It's something different than... It definitely is different from the rest of the series.
Right. I think the first time I watched this was 1997. So
yeah.
It was about a year before H2O came out and everything like that. But I was still left with what the fuck did I just watch? So
well, see, I think because the original ending, not the producer's ending...
Right. That was the theatrical cut ending.
Yeah, so the theatrical cut, Tommy beats Michael to death. Basically, like he pours some kind of corrosive something on him, and then beats him with a 2x4 or something. You know, I love the ending of this a lot better. I feel like it explains things a lot more. I don't feel like it's a good conclusion to the Cult of Thorn because I think there's a lot more that could be discovered as far as like the point of it and how long it's been around and things like that.
But the very next film that we get completely rewrites everything. Right. Yep. Like, so this is the last we hear of the Cult of Thorn.
Yeah. Yeah.
And honestly, probably for the best.
Yeah, maybe. It's a bloody machete up for me. It really is.
It's a bloody machete down.
I love it. I don't know, I think there's some really fun kills in it.
I'll give you that. There are some fun kills, but I just the overall comprehensive story just wasn't there.
I get it.
Great idea, poor execution.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's my thoughts on it.
All right.
I'm not even going to try to make it
just
through
throw
this
it.
one.
Just throw it. Maybe you'll actually. So we all know what's up next. H2O.
The only one I've actually seen in theaters.
I saw this one in theater too. So we're going to 20 years exactly after the original.
And we're going on a road trip and taking it out of Haddonfield.
Yeah, we're not in Haddonfield. We're in California?
Yeah. Southern California.
Yeah. So this should be interesting, taking Michael out of the Haddonfield area. I guess he doesn't need to go home for this one. Home is whenever I'm with you.
Where I lay my head is home?
Yeah.
I like my Metallica reference
better. Well, so make sure you come back in, a few days?
Yeah. And
we will be reviewing Halloween H2O, or H20, or whatever you want to call it. But yeah,
I swear I've only ever heard it called H2O, so the H20 is new to me.
Yeah, until just recently, all of a sudden, me and Brian both said H20. I don't know why. Yeah. I've heard it called that on, YouTube videos and things like that, so I don't know. Somebody called it H20 and I just caught on to it.
Anyway, watch this, come back here in a couple days' time when we review it. Until then, be sure to slash that subscribe button.
And stab the like button.
And ring-a-ling that grave bell so you don't get lost in the mix and can stay up to date on everything that we are doing on this platform.
Yes. And until next time, we will see you all in the afterlife.